Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to build a small income statement in Excel using F9. I've gone ahead and I've prepared this template. It's just a small income statement. We just have one row of revenues and 3 rows of expenses. But this will give you a good understanding of how F9 works and how it can benefit you and your organization. Now, let's quickly review what we already know. I've already have one formula here, and the first segment is the account number segment, and it's referencing the K12. That's right here. And the second segment is always your period specifier segment, and it's referencing D24. And you can see that our period specifier is currently March. Now, if I click in our period specifier cell here, I haven't named this cell yet. This is another period specifier, March budget, and I haven't named that one. I'm going to do that right now. Just go up here. I'm just going to name this one period. Hit enter. Enter again. Puts me down into the next cell here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to name this one budget. Hit enter. Enter again. And then when we click back in these cells, see the cell is now named period, and this second cell here is now named budget. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the cell that has our formula. I'm going to take out the D24, reference our cell that's named period, pulls that up into the formula. I hit enter. Now when I click back in here, see now this formula is very similar to the formula we were working on in this tab here, right in here. See, there's that same formula. It's just we're referencing period 1 here. Back over here, we're just referencing period, this cell here that has the period specifier March in it. Now remember, we have a small income statement here and we just have one row of revenues. Now, and we're pulling from one revenue account. Now I know Sunny Day Hospice has more operational revenue accounts than just this one. So that is where the B-spec formula comes into play. Now, if you remember, B-spec is short for build specifier. Not that that clarifies anything, but what the B-spec does is it combines these 4 cells right here, and you can see that right there. Well, what we can do is we can replace the 4 with an asterisk. I'm going to replace a 60 with an asterisk. I'm going to put in 3,000 through 3,999, which is all the operational revenues. And I'm going to replace a sub with an asterisk. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to calculate the spreadsheet. Notice that the B-spec updated, see, pulled in these 4 cells, and the revenue amount increased. Now, this is all the revenues for Sunny Day Hospice. Now, just a real quick review here. If you remember, anytime F9 sees an asterisk, asterisk is the wild card for F9. So what it's doing is it's pulling in all the locations, all the department disciplines, all the sub-accounts, and the range here, 3,000 through 2 periods, 3,999. This, in the natural account number segment here, this is all the operational revenues, again, for Sunny Day Hospice. Now, here's where we can have a little fun. Now, I mentioned that this is all the revenues for Sunny Day Hospice. Well, what we can do, say you wanted the revenues just for location 3. I key in 3 under location. I calculate the worksheet. Notice it updates the B-spec and it updates the revenue. Let's say you want the revenues for just location 4. I key in 4, hit enter, calculate the worksheet, and then see it updates the B-spec, and this is the revenues for location 4. Are you starting to see why we enjoy F9? Let me show you something else here real quickly. What I want to do is I'm going to put an asterisk back in the place of the 4, hit enter, calculate the worksheet. Now, in the natural account number segment here, say you want just 3,000 and 3020. and then the rest of the way through 3999. Well, what you would do is you would put in a comma instead of the 2 periods. Anytime you're doing a range, you do 2 periods. But if you want 3000 and 3020, you would use a comma. And then the range of the 2 periods between 3020 and 3999. Hit enter, calculate the worksheet. It updates the B-spec, and it updates our revenues. Now remember, we just have one row of revenues, so I want to make sure that we get all of our revenues. I'm going to take out the 3020. So again, we have a complete range of 3000 through 3999. Calculate the worksheet, updates the B-spec and the revenues. Then what I can do is I can copy this formula down here to our first row of expenses. So I'm going to do a copy, and I'm doing a Control-C on my keyboard. And then I'm doing a paste, and I'm doing a Control-V on my keyboard. Doing the same thing over here. I'm going to do a copy and a paste. And then I want to make sure I get our expenses, which natural account number segment is going to be 4000 through 4999. I hit enter, calculate the worksheet. It updates the B-spec formula, and this is now our first row of expenses. And you'll notice we're showing a negative amount here. Well, if I click in this cell, what I want to do is I want to change this from equals NGL, which was equals negative general ledger, to just regular GL. And then we see that we get a positive balance again. And for display purposes, we want this a positive figure. We know that expenses are deducted from revenues, but we always just want to show this as a positive figure. And remember, this is a review from over here. Equals GL is going to be used for expenses. Equals NGL is going to be used for revenues. Click back up here. Revenues equals NGL. Expenses, we're going to go equals GL. And to take care of our last 2 rows of expenses, I'm just going to do a copy, doing a paste, and the same thing again over here. I'm doing a copy, paste. I'm going to go 5000 through 5999. Here I want to get all the rest of the expenses. I'm going to go 6000 through 8999. Hit enter, calculate the worksheet. It updates the B-spec formulas, and then we have the rest of our expenses here. And to finish out our period column here, I'm going to use a couple of Excel functions here. Just going to do the auto sum, and then I'm just going to do equals revenues minus total expenses, and we have a net income of $65,650.11. Now, in our little income statement here, we have our period actual column complete, but we need to fill in our period budget column. So all I do here is I'm going to do a copy, I'm going to do a paste, and there's one little change I need to make to each one of these formulas. We're referencing the cell named period. I want to reference the cell named budget. I go in here and I can just type it in, hit enter, and there's our budget figure there. Now, I still need to change these 3 down here. Now, it wouldn't take me very long to change just these 3 formulas because this is a small income statement. But in the real world, you may have 60 rows to update. So here's a quick way to update the formulas. You want to highlight the cells that have the formulas in them and bring up your find and replace. And we are looking for that cell name period, and we want to replace it with budget. I go ahead and I say replace all. Click that, and it tells me it made 3 replacements. See, I had 3 formulas there. I just go ahead and I click OK here. I can click close here. And now we see that these formulas have all been updated, and it's now referencing the cell named budget. Now, it hasn't updated the Excel formulas because we need to calculate the worksheet. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm calculating the worksheet, and it will update these amounts here in just a moment. It always takes a few seconds to do a calculation. So now notice it has updated. Now we budgeted for a loss of $7,000, but this is the budget column now. Just a real quick review here. Now in this column, we're referencing the cell named period. That's this cell here. And the period specifier is March. Over in the period budget column, we're referencing the cell named budget. And that's this cell here. We see that it's named there. And it's saying March budget. The period specifier is March budget. We finished our little income statement here. And anytime you build an income statement, the first question you're probably going to ask is the net income correct? And that's a very good question. Well, you could run reports, you could run like a trial balance, or you could run an income statement out of your accounting system, do some comparison, and see if it's correct. But F9 allows us to do a control total. So what we do is we do a copy, again another copy and a paste, and I'm going to enter here 3,000 through 8,999, hit enter, calculate the worksheet, and it's going to update the B-spec formula, and it's going to update the control total amount. Now notice the control total amount is matching the net income amount of our income statement. Because the control total and net income amounts match, this tells me that the income statement is built properly. And why can I say that? Well, this control total amount, notice the B-spec over here, we're pulling in all the P&L accounts. Two things will throw off a net income statement. One is if you're missing account numbers, and another one that can throw off your net income is if you have duplicate account numbers. We don't have that with the control total here. We're pulling in all the locations, all the department disciplines, all the sub-accounts, and all the natural account numbers 3,000 through 8,999. We're not missing accounts, and we're not duplicating accounts, and the control total does match the net income. Now we've finished the March F9 income statement. Now when April rolls around, I don't need to recreate this income statement. We just come in and update the period specifier from March to April. Hit enter. April. Hit enter. Calculate the spreadsheet. And bang, we're updated from March to April. Now, we can quickly also update this income statement from a period report to a year-to-date report. Well, just go down to the period specifier and add YTD, year-to-date April. Same thing in the budget cell here, YTD. Hit enter. I'm calculating the worksheet. And we're updated from an April report to a year-to-date April report. You may want a period column and a year-to-date column. Well, that's a simple change also. Let's just take out the YTD from the period column. Come down here. Now the period specifier here, I'm just taking out budget. Now because the period specifier is now saying year-to-date April, I'm going to calculate. This is actually pulling in actual figures, not budget figures, because the period specifier isn't saying anything about budget. It's just saying year-to-date April. So now what you have is we have a period column, and we'd probably want to change the header up here, and we can say just YTD. So now we have a period April and a year-to-date April column. Now, we're having fun now. Say you want a income statement for just location 4. Well, here's what we do. We do a copy, paste, paste. I calculate the worksheet. And just that quick. Now we've got an income statement for just location 4. And you can do the same thing with a specific department discipline. I think by now you're getting the idea that F9 can be a real time saver when it comes to creating custom reports. Maybe you can go home a little early, mow the lawn, clean the house, wash the dogs, wash the kids, enjoy the weekend.